Tommy. Curran and Phil Perry here with me. What does that look like, Curran? Like, what does burning some cash look like for this Patriots team this offseason?
We'll see. I do want to shoot back to DeMeco Ryans. There's not a team in the NFL who doesn't want to be physical with the line of scrimmage, use some play action, but also be explosive. There was nothing that DeMeco Ryans said that indicates what his offensive philosophy is. So I think they're all engaging in platitudes at this juncture. Until you have an offensive coordinator, until you know who the personnel in your offense is, you can't say this is what we're going to do. So to me, I understand why they're still spinning their wheels to some extent into what they're going to do. Get some people in here, then figure it out. Where are you going to burn your money? You're going to burn it at wide receiver. Are you going to burn it at tight end? Are you going to spend it on the guys who are expiring? They have to establish all those things. That's why it's such a hard position to be in, Trent, is this team is much worse off now than it was when Bill Belichick took over because there's a fleet of expiring contracts and there's no core, which we talked about all year.
The focus is clearly on offense. I mean, he even said it. It doesn't matter. Players win games, coaches lose them. If you don't have the players who can score points, it's going to be pretty tough for you. He is telling you where his focus is. When he's asked about, what are you going to spend that pick on? You said it was going to be on a pretty important position. Yeah, quarterback, receiver, his focus is on offense. He understands where this team is needy right now, and it's basically every position on the offensive side. So whether or not he is describing his offensive philosophy as similar to DeMeco Ryans or Dan Campbell or anybody else, they just want to be good on offense. They are so far from that. That's where the money is going to be spent, burned, if you will.
And I will say this in response to you, they didn't do those things well last year. They didn't have explosive playmakers. They didn't do play action well. So I would almost like him even to hear him say, we want to get back to what works in the NFL. But,
what is that?
Well, I guess we're going to, to me, isn't that what you want to do, though?
But
isn't it what the personnel you want to go back to? Because he did say that they were not operating on a modern day NFL or something close to that in his thing. So even just something that tells you want to get back to that.
Every team in the NFL wants to be physical at the line of scrimmage, wants to be explosive down the field, wants to have balance. And that's really all DeMeco Ryans said. When you get the players in here, and if it's Caleb Williams and you say we want to run the eye and not have a scrambling quarterback, well, then you've chosen the wrong player. So to me, that would be, once you get the players and the offensive coordinator in, then you're going to be able to have a much more defined, whether it's Dan Campbell biting kneecaps, DeMeco Ryans talking about play action and balance, or Jerod not saying really anything at all, nobody knows at their opening press conference.
Speaking of what they're going to bring in, do you think, Phil, that there are free agents on this team right now that they have identified and said, those are guys we want to keep around, that they're going to be able to do what we need them to do? Here is a look at notable free agents coming up. Mike Onwenu, Kyle Duggar, Hunter Henry. There'll be plenty of quality players around the league hitting free agency. Kirk Cousins, obviously the best available quarterback. Bengals receiver T. Higgins looks, I think he'd look good in a Patriots uniform. How about Cowboys tackle Tyron Smith? A lot to choose from. Hunter Henry, though, is on here. I mean, look at all those Patriots players. I know I can't count that quickly, but there's a lot of guys. So who on their own roster might they want to keep around?
I'm going to stay on the offensive side. I'll give you two names. Mike Onwenu should be at the very top of their list because outside of him, and he's not even under contract, but they don't have a workable tackle right now, a capable tackle on the roster. Mike Onwenu, and I would go with Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry, if you paid attention to Jerod Mayo's interview on WEEI today, was listed as one of two names when it came to the leadership category on the offensive side of the ball. He said David Andrews and Hunter Henry, who's not even under contract. So you have to get him signed, in my opinion, as just some measure of leadership, but he's also a capable player at a good position. So even if it's the franchise tag, Tom, it's not an expensive position. It's about $12 million to keep Hunter Henry around. I think that'd be worthwhile. But Onwenu and Henry on the offensive side, I think you start there and then you start looking other places.
And the Patriots have been so resistant under Bill Belichick to re-signing players. Even the ones that they do re-sign, say, for instance, David Andrews, he ends up going and seeing the market before he comes back. Will they ante up for a Hunter Henry, who might be a mid-grade top dozen tight end, but not a top 5 tight end? What if he says, I need this amount of money? So the Patriots of pre-Belichick, 1997 through 2000, they were spendthrifts. People think the Crafts don't spend. Take a look back at what they were doing back in 97, 98, and 99. Drew Bledsoe, Willie McGinnis, Ted Johnson, Ty Law, all these guys, and all the friends of Drew were top of the market sales for the Patriots at that time. Will the discipline that Bill Belichick showed in moving on from guys and finding value, will that evaporate a little bit? That's what's interesting to watch, too.
Are there guys on that NFL side of the list that you look at and say, I want to get that guy into a Patriots uniform?
It's really hard. No. I mean, there's plenty of guys there. They could use all of them. It's really hard. I can't find a single guy on there who wouldn't be an upgrade. Who's the guy who wouldn't be an upgrade?
No, a lot of them would be upgrades.
Brian Burns
obviously
wouldn't be an upgrade over Matt Judon, but he might be on the other side.
I'll tell you, a receiver, I think T. Higgins is going to get franchise tagged by the Bengals. So I think we all need to kind of let go of that dream. Sorry, everybody. T. Higgins, everybody wants T. Higgins. Listen, I love T. Higgins too, and if he's available, then great, go get him. Spend whatever it takes. I don't think he's going to be available. They're in a championship window. They're going to make sure they keep him around. Otherwise, at receiver, you're talking Michael Pittman, who's a big body, not necessarily all that explosive, kind of outside receiver, good player. But I really like Calvin Ridley, who obviously spent a lot of time away from the game, served a whole year suspension for gambling, left the team, the Falcons in 2021 mid-season basically because he was dealing with mental health issues, but he came back this year, had a 1,000-yard season in Jacksonville. And he is an explosive player. And he's now in his 7th season. I just don't think he's going to necessarily command like $20 million a year. It might cost somewhere around $15, $16 million a year. And that to me would be a tremendous upgrade for your receiver core. And you're not feeling like you have to reach for receivers in the draft if the guys you like aren't necessarily there in the 1st or 2nd round.
And they literally don't have an offensive core. It's Ramondre Stevenson, David Andrews, who's an older player right now, and who else under contract? Phil, I mean, I'm not saying Juju and Devontae Parker and Demario Douglas. Are those your three guys? You get 3 guys, one of whom is a second-year player taken in the 6th round, who you'd say, these are the core guys who we know are coming back, and Cole Strange. So 4. And I don't know how many teams in the NFL would say, I'm going to give up everything to get that guy. That guy's better than my guy. So, again, defense, outstanding. Offense, it's down to the studs in rebuilding.
They might have as much as $80 million in cap space in the next few weeks if they end up releasing J.C. Jackson. If you pay Onwenu, Henry, Ridley, and say you sign Jacoby Brissett, our buddy Jacoby Brissett, he was just here a few years ago, only $8 million for 1 year. That's about $40 million in cap space. It's about half your cap space.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be worthwhile. And then you got plenty of money left over to spend on some of these other positions where you feel like you have other holes.